Okay, this is gonna be a little bit of a tough conversation that we're gonna have today, but we're gonna do it anyway. Do y'all remember when I said that there's only one truth and it's not subjective? It's objective, which means it's unbiased and unchanging, no matter how people feel about it, no matter, the people's personal opinions or whatever, it doesn't matter. The truth is the truth and it doesn't change. I wanted to elaborate on that. Now listen, before I go into this conversation, I want to be very clear about something. So listen closely. What I'm not saying is that if you're an atheist, you are not capable of living a moral life.
Rise and shine, beautiful souls. All right, so you heard her. She said that what I'm not saying is that if you are atheist, you are unable to live a moral life. And then she shakes her head no, and she doesn't say it out loud, but she puts this post up, or this quote, and it says that because God wrote his law on the consciousness of us all individually. Before I deal with that statement, to begin this video, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I used to be a preacher, family. I was a Christian, hardcore Christian. Loved it all. When I lost religion, it was the single hardest thing I've ever done. I had a nervous breakdown losing religion. It was everything to me. I needed it all to exist. And it was the hardest thing to free myself from. All right. Now I think with a different mindset, and people often ask me, what is it? And I tell you like this. I look at it like this. If what you're being taught, if what you're reading in a book, I don't care if it's the majority, who you hear it from, if it doesn't line up with reality, you may have been deceived. Okay. So my mindset is I need demonstration, logic, proof, explanation. My entire life, I wasn't allowed to ask for any of those things, and I ended up with religion. So just because something sounds good or because it's an answer doesn't mean it's the answer. And so I want to talk about this video. And first, we want to deal with this first thing that she said. And just to be clear, her purpose of making this video is because she wants to establish the foundation for objective morality. What is the foundation for objective morality? Objective meaning non-biased. There is no, it cannot waver at all. It is written in stone, sort of like the 10 Commandments, right? It is what it is. Okay. And so she wants to establish what is the foundation for that. Of course, subjective reality means everyone has a different perspective of it. Okay. And so let's deal with the first thing. God wrote his moral law on the consciousness of all of us. Because I'm a person who measure up what I hear with reality, I look at reality now, and to me, it appears that there is no God by that default. That has written its moral law on the consciousness of all of us. The reason I say that is because people have different ideas of what morals are. They disagree on certain things, whether they be right and wrong. And we have jails for that. Because people feel good when they do bad things, doing some horrible, horrific things makes them actually feel good. You have to lock these people up. And it's proof that, or it seems to be, to me, that's demonstration at least, that there is no moral code or morals written on anybody's consciousness. If you go to different countries, they marry at different ages, and ages that would make you or make us frown upon them in such a degree to where we call them names. You understand? We would not respect them at all at the ages that they marry. Here, we have rules and laws against that, and equally, we feel that it's wrong. Okay? Now, if you don't feel that's wrong here, you'll end up in jail. But if you are in Peru, you're a natural person. You're just a regular person, a doctor, lawyer, whatever you are, with a 12-year-old wife, regardless if you're 35 or whatnot. This to me is demonstration that our world, that there is no a moral code written on our consciousness. And so I would ask the question also, why would God write a moral code? Is that because human beings write, and that's our only way of trying to kind of manifest this God, so to speak, talk about this God? Wrote it on the consciousness with what? With what? A pencil, a pen, or what? Wrote it on the consciousness. Where is the consciousness? Can you prove it? So without demonstration, without true explanation, and without proof, I cannot adopt that reasoning that there is a moral law written on the consciousness of us all. I just cannot adopt that reasoning. Okay. And now I'll move forward with the rest of the video now. Enjoy.
Life. That is not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. So don't think that. Okay. The point of this video is questioning what the foundation for morality is, objective morality, without God. Because I was just watching this debate, which is really what caused me to make this video.
Interestingly enough, I was watching her video, And that caused me to make this video. So a lot of you guys feel like I shouldn't talk about other religions and things and whatnot. That's not the intent of this video. It's actually just to talk about her actual question that she is raising. And as you can see, she is making a video in response to an atheist. So I think that she would be okay with me making a video response to a believer and answering the question that she's actually putting out there. So, okay, carry on, China.
And I was watching an atheist debater debate a Christian debater. The atheist his name was Peter Atkins. I had to listen to this man say that the only reason why he felt it was wrong for Hitler to kill the Jews in the Holocaust was because he didn't think it was right to hinder people's aspirations or obtrude on their lives. Hitler was doing something that he wouldn't have wanted done to him.
All right, so it sounds to me like he was given a question and he gave an answer and an explanation, which is acceptable. He feels that it's wrong because he doesn't believe you should hold back another people. If that's his reasoning, okay. But if you ask someone who believes that there is no moral code without God, what is their reasoning for it being wrong? Because God said it's wrong. My question is, do you really feel like that's a better explanation? Well, what if there wasn't a God? Then would it be wrong? See my point? Carry on, China.
No other reason though. But there's no real binding objectivity to that statement because that's his opinion. There are a lot of Nazis that agreed with Hitler. That's their opinion.
Speed up time to today, it's still a matter of opinion. So are many other issues that were horrific in our past. It's still a matter of opinion. There are still people who still put into practice and exercise the same hate even today, family.
And in the atheistic view, are we not all equal as Homo sapiens, that evolution has evolved to where we are right now? There's no afterlife, there's no God, so we're just lumps of matter with no real purpose.
All right, so she said that there's no afterlife, there's no God, we are just lumps of matter with no real purpose. All right, so that mistake that she's making right there in her logic is called a false dilemma. You guys should look up logical fallacies. So false dilemma is a logical fallacy. And it pretty much means that if it's either this or, and it's a mistake that you make. So if you say either we go to war or we appear weak. If I don't get that car, I'm going to be hated because I'm not going to be popular and nobody's going to like me. One thing doesn't equal the other. So if she says there is no God, so we are lumps of matter with no real purpose. That does not equal that. That means we continue to do the research. We continue to work hard to pursue whatever our destiny, whatever what we're calling God. We continue to conceptualize whatever what we're calling God is. We continue to search for truth and purpose, family. That's what it means, okay? So I want to be clear, family. This video is not to destroy any specific sect of religious beliefs, okay? So she's coming from a Christian perspective. And I'm sure that as a Christian, she hasn't thought about the Hindu perspective, the Islam perspective, and all these different things, okay? So there's still 4,199 religions that she's leaving out. And so if her Christian God isn't real, maybe one of those is, you see? And so she's already saying there's no God, and that because of that, there is no, we just have no purpose. And so let's just say there are none of these gods, okay? Then it still doesn't mean we have no purpose. This is called a false dilemma. But again, if I were arguing with or if I was answering a Hindu's question, they would be coming from the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas, and they would be arguing that there is no foundational objective morality for God without the Bhagavad Gita. And that moral code would be totally different than the Christian view. So this is why this argument is difficult to handle without talking about the person's religion. So forgive me if I do have to go into the personal religion of China, the Christian God, during this dialogue, but please understand, if I was talking to a Hindu, I would go into the personal moral code of the Bhagavad Gita since they were talking about their God as well. All right, so I'm going to allow this to continue.
There's no judgment, no transcendent justice in the universe. Now, I'm not speaking from my own point of view because I feel it was objectively wrong for Hitler to kill the Jews, period. No matter who you're talking to, what people's opinions are, that's where I stand. going off of the moral law in the Bible. Because what I'm doing right now is I'm taking God completely out of it. I love you, Lord. But for hypothetical purposes, I'm going to take God and say he doesn't exist. I'm going to say my best friend doesn't exist for a second, right? So therefore, everything that has to do with God also does not exist. Jesus Christ being the Messiah, that don't exist. The holy book, the Bible, and the moral law that's stated in it, none of that exists. None of that is real.
I'll see that. And I'm going to raise her this one. Because she's going to play the position of the atheist and do away with the Messiah, Jesus, and do away with the holy book and the morals that is in it. Since none of that's going to be real for her, I'm going to play the position of the believer. So I'm going to take your Jesus and your Messiah and your holy book and all the moral laws therein. It is real for me now, okay? So I feel like that's going to be fair going forward.
So really, we also have to take the U.S. Constitution and put it over there too, because the founders of the Constitution, what did they do? They formed the Constitution on the foundation of the holy book, the Bible, our very country. That's why on money it says, "In God we trust." That's why we say one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's why in court, when you're about to testify and they put you under oath, they say, "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?"
As a person with the Christian stance now, I would have to disagree. I would have to say that I do not believe that the Constitution is founded on biblical morals. Here's the reason. Let's take the Ten Commandments, for instance. One of the Ten Commandments is that you should not do not boil a baby goat in its mother's milk. That is something that is important to the Bible's God, and it's not in the Constitution or even mentioned one time. Many of you probably have never even heard of that scripture to this day, or that commandment, one of the 10 commandments to this day. Let's talk about slavery. Let's talk about circumcision. Let's talk about laws around women, okay? Many of these tough laws were overturned due to human beings, people with different perspective overturning these laws. But these laws that we overturn actually were backed by God's morals, or the Bible's morals, of God's morals in the Bible, of course. So the fact that people felt like it was wrong and we had God's moral code inside of us, and yet we are protesting and giving our lives to change actually the biblical moral codes that's in the Constitution, to me is further proof or demonstration that there is no moral code written on the inside of us, because it seems that human beings rallied against God's moral code in the Bible enough to get it overturned, enough to the point to where the Constitution does not back the foundational Bible principles on morals. That's my stance on it as a Christian.
And whenever anybody says, "I do," they are acknowledging the fact that whether they believe it or not, God is watching them and what they say in the next moments that they testify.
I'm gonna disagree. I don't know the minds of people when they swear in court, but I'm just gonna disagree. But anyway, based on the things she was saying earlier, I don't know how to answer stuff like that, like just ridiculous out the wall stuff like that. But anyway, based on what she was saying earlier about God being on the dollar and stuff like that, I would just say that man made money, and because man believes in God and places God on the money, to me that just doesn't really have any real weight to there being a God. You understand? Or even that there being a constitution that is, or even in court, them saying, "Hey, swear on God." You understand? So believe me, you in America. And so if you went to another place, you will find out that they don't do the same things in court. And yet they do believe in God. A lot of these countries do. So just keep in mind that people still get found guilty when they're innocent. And they lie in court and get away with it, go back home, everything's good. People still get found guilty when they're innocent. Oh, I said innocent when they're guilty, but guilty when they're innocent. Think about this. You swear on the Bible in court, and yet you still go to jail even when you're innocent. I don't know. That's just a slippery slope. I'll let her have this one. You win that 1 point, China, that when people swear on the Bible in court that they know God is watching. I'll give you that one. Whew.
So if we take all of that away, put it over there and say it doesn't exist, God is just a myth, what real reason do we have to be moral? Because really moral doesn't really exist, not objective morality.
All right, so she said, what is the real reason to be moral? So what are morals? Morals are a person's standards of behavior or beliefs concerning what is or what is not okay for them to do. What reason will we have standards of behavior or beliefs concerning what is or what is not okay to do? So here's my reasons for morals, okay? My reasons or standards. I believe that we all should be safe because I want to be safe. I believe that we all kind of want the same things. We want a healthy life. We want a full life. I know that I personally want to live. So me personally, I don't believe people should kill each other. I believe that we should not harm each other. This is why I believe that we should have morals, because if we can work together, we can figure out a way to make life more enjoyable for all of us. So we see things that we know are not conducive or harmonic. So if we see someone hurting another person, what if the person feels good while they're hurting another person and they don't feel like it's morally wrong because they enjoy hurting another person exactly in the way they're hurting them? Well, another person is being hurt and they don't want to be hurt. So because we know what that feels like and we don't want our freedom taken in that way, we create jails. Because we say, hey, even though we can't objectively say that's wrong, we can see that it's not harmonic to happiness for all of us. And there may be a few people who are not happy with that society, but we have a place for them because they are causing harm to others. Now, a jail isn't just a place where you put bad people. You could be in jail for many reasons because it's a business. But understand, if someone is murdering people, we have a place for them to go. Because murdering people, while it is prospectively wrong, it is subjectively wrong. We can all realize that it's wrong because we don't want to be killed. We don't want to be murdered. You understand? So is it wrong to murder? Is it wrong when someone murders you? Well, I don't want to die, so you're going to say, of course, yes. But this is the reason, because the reason is because there appears to be no God or no moral code written on us. There appears to be a reason to create these laws to protect each other. Because in the actual realm of reality, some people do harm people and feel good about it instead of bad. Some people do murder people, rob people, rape, colonize, and feel good about it and celebrate it. It's a fact. And because we live in a world that is really truly that, we must all work together to navigate that world. It's just a fact, family. This is why we believe that there is a reason to be moral. You understand?
What we're left with is really the socially acceptable and the socially unacceptable, because evolution has brought us to the place to where it's socially unacceptable to kill somebody or to rape someone or to abuse little children. That's just socially unacceptable, but there's really no transcendent immorality to it. So really, people could argue about whether or not it's really wrong.
All right, so family, here's the reality of it all. Isn't that what we're doing? Aren't we arguing what's right and wrong now? Aren't we, family? And I know a lot of us need transcendent, objective right and wrong, but the world suggests that it's subjective. And I would like for there to be objective wrongs. I would, but I would also like for the things that I feel to be objectively wrong, and only those things. And that's how we all think, family. So because other people have other ideas and other thoughts that we can't control, we try to get on the other side of it, and control the outcome. If someone behaves in a certain way, then we try to get on the other side of that. But we can't control what people think. You understand? So it is perspective. But I want to deal with this thing about making morals seem so puny if there is no God. So I'm arguing from the standpoints that there is. So let's not forget that there may be. So if there is a God and God has this moral code, where did God get the moral code? Did he come up with it on his own? And if that's the case, moral code is subjective. It is his opinion on what moral code is. And everything that he's saying is right or wrong is proclamations. This is right. This is wrong. Literally, family. And it also means that God can change his mind at any time. And that would be objective right and wrong when he changes his mind. Just like you should stone women. You shouldn't stone women. Think about this, family. If God has a moral code that he didn't design himself, he's not even responsible for the moral code. And we are saying we accept the moral code simply because this God is stronger than us, or we fear this God, or this God has a hell to put us in, or this God is even the creator. Is that how we establish what right and wrong is with non-bias? The strongest person makes the rules? If I hold you at gunpoint, am I right about everything that I have to say now? Even though you disagree with me before I had the gun to your head? What if I created you? Am I right now? Am I right? Because some people will argue that, yes, that's why it's right and wrong. Because God is stronger than you. And that's why it's objective. That is why. That's the only reason. To me, I feel like if that's the case, how do we know this God isn't evil? How do we know that? How do we know that the God isn't evil? Because we don't have anything to weigh his morals against. Only against how they make us feel. And we'll forever doubt how we feel because it created us. So if it tells us to kill someone because they worship the wrong God, we're going to do it, whether it feels wrong or not. Just like in the book, the Bible, my book that I believe in, the Bible. When it says go in and kill all the Amalekites, this was a declaration or a command from God. When they said turn the knives on the Israelites and kill them to the death toll is 3,000 for worshiping a golden calf. Right after God said don't kill, now kill. See how God's morals change up? I look at it like morality is subjective. And what we can do is try to prevent people from being hurt, having intrinsic harm done to them because of their freedom. If one person wants to harm another and that other person doesn't want to be harmed, the one that doesn't want to be harmed is right, subjectively. And because the person who's doing the harming may be turned on by the other person's fear, pain, trauma, you can't expect both parties to agree that that's wrong. Because one party is going to say, well, it feels right to me. And isn't this the real world we live in? She's going to get to the point to where you guys say, well, you guys are just probably thinking I'm scared and don't want to face the reality of the world. That's exactly what it sounds like. The reality of the world is what it is, but you're arguing it for a concept of God that doesn't line up with that reality. Carry on, China.
Because to some people, those things are fine. We still got killers. We still have rapists running around. We still have abusers running around. There are many people that think that that behavior is fine.
And that is demonstration that God did not write his moral code on the consciousness of all of us. The sheer fact that there's still murderers, rapists, robbers, and they think it's okay, to me is demonstration that God did not write his moral code on the consciousness of all of us individually. See my point?
And so who are we to really argue with them and say, no, this behavior is wrong, if we do not have an objective moral law to go by? Do y'all see what I'm saying? Same thing with Hitler and the Jews. If there's no objective moral law, how can I really tell Hitler, what you did, it was wrong and you shouldn't have done it? How can I really tell him that? Because he could easily be like, well, it's wrong to you. It's wrong in your opinion, but that's just your opinion and it really doesn't apply to me or anyone else. There are many of my followers that think I'm just fine. I'm justified in doing what I'm doing. So who are you to say that where evolution has brought you is somehow better than where evolution has brought me and all of my followers? Who are you to say that? Wouldn't that be considered as kind of arrogant, actually, to say that without an objective moral law given to us by God?
I would say this, the colonizer's mindset is to call other tribal people savage, deem them unworthy of their own habitat, take it from them, and then create laws that keep them from being their natural selves. I would say that is wrong and very arrogant. You're right on that. But I will say this, telling Hitler he's wrong for murdering a bunch of people, telling slave masters they're wrong for enslaving people because they don't look like them, I would say we have every right to say that's wrong, simply because we're the ones that's being enslaved and murdered. It's affecting us. And the world you live in without a God, this is almost like if you're children at home and your mother leaves the house and now you can't establish what's right and wrong because you don't have mama to ask. I guarantee y'all gonna be just arguing amongst each other about what's right and wrong. You're not gonna say, well, I don't have a right to tell my sister she can't set the house on fire because mama's not here to say that. And she actually has never said, don't set the house on fire. So we don't know what her code is for me to argue that. So I'm just gonna sit and let her, even though it feels wrong. No, Not at all. The basis of us creating a moral standard is because we have to live in this world as well. The golden rule, treat others as you like to be treated. This is how we move in family. I don't want to be robbed. I don't want to be murdered. So therefore, I would like for it to, that murder and robbing be wrong. This way I don't have to go through it. You see? Simply put, family.
It's dangerous territory. That's dangerous. I'm clearly starting to see in this world where denying an absolute truth is leading us. Because think about it like this. We are teaching our children, okay, don't kill, don't steal or rape or do any of these things. But I'm only telling you not to do it because it's socially unacceptable. There's no God. There's no afterlife. There's no transcendent judgment. There's no self-aware higher being, a creator that created you with a purpose and with love that actually cares about what happens to you.
All right, family. So outside of there's no creator that loves you and cares what happens to you and all that, obviously nobody's teaching their children that there's nobody that loves you and no creator looking out for you and watching over you. But you would say that this is wrong, and this is why it's wrong. You understand? Now, I would say this from the Christian perspective. Here's what you guys would be teaching. You're saying that murder is wrong or it isn't because God said so. And now to establish whether murder is wrong, we have to establish whether or not God told a person to murder someone. And because the people who can hear God, they hear God individually and God is never heard audibly, we may never know who murders and why. So don't judge people for murder because God could have told them to murder. You see, God tells people to murder in the Bible. God also says, do not murder. If God tells you to murder and you do not murder, you are in sin because sin is actually disobeying God. If you guys think morals is don't kill, it's actually don't disobey God because God can tell you to kill using the Bible, family. So to me, that's more confusing rather than just say, hey, murder's wrong. Stealing is wrong. And if you do these things, here are the consequences you'd have to pay. But overall, let me explain to you why these things are wrong. Now, I think that's a lot better than saying murder is wrong or it may not be wrong because God said so. Murder's wrong because God said so. Stealing is wrong because God said so. Not because you're taking something that does not belong to you and you are hurting someone else and they may come back and retaliate on you. It'll make your life worse. But you're just saying because God said so. Well, what reason? But why did God say so? We don't know. We just know it's wrong. That's very confusing. And to me, what will happen is kids are smart and they're going to actually start challenging all the things that you are saying. I feel like if you do not tell your children the truth, we have the internet now. This is not the 1970s, the 1960s, and so forth and so on. You're not going to be able to feed your child the view of the people around you and yourself and your community and your child not be able to break through it. Anything you're telling your child, they can look up directly to see if it lines up. And now you're talking about children now, children who have yet to be, I call it domesticated, but let's just say indoctrinated to the degree to where they believe so wholeheartedly. It hasn't happened yet. It takes a lot of years to be able to indoctrinate someone to this degree, but they'll be able to type in Google long before they hit that age. And when they start questioning the world and they come to you for answers and this is what you're telling them, they're going to challenge you. Trust me. Trust me, family.
No, you're just one big accident that the universe happened to stumble and produce. You came from the dirt, into the dirt you will return. But, you know, it's socially unacceptable to kill and rape and do these things. So just don't do them. If there's one thing that kids aren't, it's stupid. At some point they get older and they put two and two together. As soon as life gives them a good kick in the butt, they're like, hold on, what has society ever done for me?
Or where was this guy to protect me when I needed him?
Society has never done nothing but hurt me.
I can't see any benefit that I have over any other non-believer. We die at the same rate. People get murdered, people get raped, people die of cancer. The Christians We are not exempt from anything that the rest of the world has or anything. It's literally no difference for us. It does not appear to be any difference from believing in God and not, or believing in any other religion.
And giving me insecurity issues, giving me depression, giving me anxiety.
Not to mention how insecure I am when I measure myself up against the standards in this book. I'm going through puberty, and I'm starting to feel desire, and I'm starting to feel sinful. I feel bad for it. I feel like I'm going to hell every time I think about the act of sex, something that's supposed to be natural. I just can't seem to even grasp any type of love for myself, being that the Bible says that there's no thing in me good, and I'm worthless without God, and that on my best day, I add up to filthy rags. It's really hard for me to love myself. And then when you mention the inconsistencies and the contradictions and the fact that I can't understand any of it, and when I go to people and ask them questions, all they tell me to do is have faith. It's like I want to understand the world, but this book is not answering my questions. And some of its views I have to accept, even though I actually disagree, and I can't say it out loud because that's even a sin. I can't even think it's wrong because that's even a sin. It's causing me to really lose my sense of self and my sense of just feeling like I can make it in this world.
Why should I follow these rules though?
I didn't feel accountable to anybody. I didn't feel that I had to face what I had done ever.
Growing up, did you feel that you were accountable to your dad or to your mom?
I mean, they didn't let me run wild. They disciplined me. So I felt accountable to them. But afterwards, after I left the home, I started wanting to sort of create my own little world where I could be the one who had the complete control.
When did you first feel everyone is accountable?
I always believed the lie that we all just came from the slime, and when we died, you know, that was it. There was nothing. If a person doesn't think that there is a God to be accountable to, then what's the point of trying to modify your behavior to keep it within acceptable ranges? That's how I thought anyway. The Lord Jesus Christ, I have accepted him as my Lord and Savior, and I believe that I, as well as everyone else, will be accountable to him.
Hi, Birdie.
All right, family, so listen. I've done countless thought talks, countless dialogues with believers who actually believe this, that if people do not believe in God or did not believe in God, that people would just go off killing people and robbing people without any care at all. But animals display empathy, love, all these types of things that we're saying does not exist without a Bible or a moral code. I know you say it's written on the inside of all of them, but they all have different moral codes. I said they express empathy. Empathy, family. All right? So, but let's just deal with that. Okay, Jeffrey Dahmer was an atheist, and by what he's saying here, he thought it was okay, or he felt like because there's no God, there was no reason to hold back. Well, let's just deal with that. There are Christians, and they are in prison for murder. In fact, there are more Christians in prison than any other religion, period. So family, this fear that people will just do all this type of evil stuff if they stop believing, we have no statistics to back that at all. There's no demonstration at all. People are unlearning a religion and walking away from religion every day, and the crime rates are not increasing, okay? It appears to be the same. It's based on where you are. It's based on your religion. You understand? If you go to Iraq, then the Muslims fill up the prisons. People suggesting that without a belief in God, somehow people would be evil. And she's already said that the moral code was written on all of us. So I don't really see a need to show one atheist view on how he can be without the belief in God, because your belief in God shouldn't be attached to your moral code. Your belief in God shouldn't even matter according to your moral code. People just shouldn't be killing people regardless, because does your belief in God denounce your moral code? If someone does not accept belief in the correct God, or they grew up in the wrong era, can they not access this consciousness that their moral code is supposed to have been written on by God? I'm trying to understand the concept, because if she says that, I'm not saying that if you're not atheist, you can't live a moral life, because the moral code has been written on the consciousness of us all individually. If that's the case, why show the views of an atheist? Because the views of an atheist should be irrelevant to the behavior of an atheist, because the behavior of us all should emulate that of a God with the moral code, because that said God wrote the moral code on our, you know what? Forget it. Carry on, China.
Hi, man. I mean, Bird. Y'all see what I'm saying? Society's standards is not enough. There's no conviction in that. No spiritual conviction in society's standards.
All right, here we go again. She says, notice, I never said that you need religion to have a genuine spiritual conviction. This truly comes from a personal relationship with God through Jesus. Now, keep in mind, now I want you guys to just imagine all of the choir directors, all of the ministers, all of the ushers, all the people inside of the church who claim to have a personal relationship with Jesus, who are homosexual. Can't stop, have been praying and trying to change it. Okay? They have a relationship with Jesus, so they think, or either they're wrong. And how can you have a relationship with Jesus and just think it? Because that could mean if you deny their relationship with Jesus, then what if you think you have one? Wouldn't you just know? Isn't that scary that you can think you have a relationship with God and not? Believe in a God and clearly not have a relationship with him, even though you think you do. Because people tell me I never had a relationship with him, even though I thought I did. Meaning I truly believed in it, all that stuff. And people still say, well, that you didn't have a relationship. Well, you're right, because I don't believe it exists. So I can't presuppose this relationship, but I'll have to say I did believe I had one. Well, you didn't have one. Well, that also means that you can believe you have a relationship with Jesus and not have one at all. And now these people, how would you know the difference? How would you be able to determine that or demonstrate that? That's very scary to me. But then she talks about spiritual conviction. Well, conviction means the beliefs or the opinions that one strongly holds. Why does it need to be spiritual? You need to have a belief that you strongly hold in your spiritual place. I don't understand what you're doing here with this word conviction and what that means and all of that, but I'm just explaining to you guys. You can't have conviction, so I guess she's not saying you can't feel that something's wrong, but true moral code, I guess, comes from having a personal relationship with Jesus. But you still got to read the book. So just having a personal relationship with who you call Jesus and you don't read the book, you still won't know what's right or wrong. That's why you can be doing something and the preacher say it's wrong in church. Then all of a sudden you're like, I didn't know that was wrong. And then all of a sudden you have to start doing it. It's why people believe they have a personal relationship with Jesus, but will still tell you that men wearing pants and women wearing pants is a sin. Women wearing open-toed shoes is a sin. Women preaching is a sin. Women shouldn't speak in church. And these Christians will actually disagree with others, and they actually are believers in Jesus. Now, there are sects of Christianity that does not believe in Jesus, but there are many sects of Christianity that believe in Jesus and would still argue about what's wrong, right and wrong via morals, even based on what the Bible says via morals mean. They have their own interpretation of that. Carry on, China.
Actually, we're now in the trend of breaking societal standards. So where is that gonna lead us? We want to talk about how far evolution has brought us. It seems we've retrogressed back to the beginning. And I know some people are gonna be like, oh, look at China. She's scared about the possibility that she is just an accident caused by the universe itself, and she's not really worth anything, and nobody else is either, and there's no real purpose to this life. Oh, that possibility scares her, so she wants to feel like she's worth something, and so she's telling other people that they're worth something too.
If that is the case, then that's not a laughing matter. That is an understandable matter. If you believe strongly in God, a higher self, if you believe strongly in the zodiac, if you believe strongly in chakra, if you believe strongly in anything, it's only natural that you begin to identify with it and find your purpose and value in it. This is why you must always ask yourself, do I need for this to be true in order to have purpose, value, in order for me to love myself? Do I need for Moses to exist? Do I need for Vishnu to exist? Do I need for the zodiac to be real? Do I need, you understand? And you ask yourself these things and say, can I find value in who I am without the external world? Without these descriptions and identities and belief systems and constructs, can I find value in me? What joy, what brings me joy? What brings me mission and purpose? What makes me feel loved? What makes me feel special? Instead of am I special to this person that made me, am I special to myself? Do I accept me? To me, these are healthier ways of looking at yourself, but I can understand if a person has a strong belief that they identify with it, because I did too. What I thought of myself completely changed when I let go of religion. For the better, though. You understand? I thought I was only valuable because someone said so. But now I realize I'm valuable regardless of what anyone says. You understand? It made me feel more powerful. It made me feel more complete. It made me feel more able than what I used to believe did. You understand? So because I don't even think that that's her fear necessarily. I think it's more so the worldview that actually is real. Not being able to tell people that that they are objectively wrong. That is scary to someone who wants something to be true, true, true. We all do. We want hard truths. We do. And that's one of the things that is hard to accept, that your view of the world is your view of the world. It is not, there is nothing written in stone that says that anything is wrong. We learn and evolve by seeing it, how people experience what we're doing. That's just the facts. Because whether there's a God or not, this is not the debate of this particular video. But if there is a God, presupposing that there is one, we are still figuring out the world through experience and creating laws based on experience. Literally, this is the world we live in, family, and that's why everywhere you go, laws are different. But God's supposed to be everywhere. So my worldview, that logic does not fit my worldview, because if God is everywhere across the entire planet, we can see that people think according to geographic. So if you have a ruler over here with a certain frame of thought or a certain institutional thought over here, the people in that area genuinely think that way. You see, and this is in every demographic, it changes. The frame of thought changes based on what you're taught growing up. So my worldview is that we are people trying to figure it out. That does not mean that there is no God. But I believe that we are people trying to figure it out, and we don't know who God is or what even God would be. We're still trying to figure it out. And now some people believe they know what God is, and that's okay. That's okay. It gives you purpose, it gives you mission, and that's fine. We're all at different places in life, and wherever you are, you're gonna find whatever that builds you and gives you that type of support. That's fine. But this was just to answer some of her questions. I know she's gonna continue, so I'm just gonna allow it. I'm rambling.
Listen, if you weren't worth anything and you were just a big accident, I would tell you that. And I would also act accordingly. I surely wouldn't be sitting down and taking the time to make these videos at the risk of a lot of different things in my life. It's dangerous nowadays talking this openly about God. Do I care? No, because I care more about what God has me doing, because he cares about y'all, whether you care about him or not.
I hear China. I can't argue with any declaration she makes about herself, but she says that if she didn't believe in God, she wouldn't be there telling people that they could be great and all this type of stuff. But she seems like a really good person, so me projecting onto her, I would think that she would. I mean, I do, and maybe that's why I'm projecting that onto her. I don't have a belief that I don't have a belief in any conceptualized God that's ever been presented. But at the same time, I'm always trying to pour into people and give my best to people in an attempt to try to make people better, give them different perspective, in an attempt to give myself one and make me better, you know? And I do it at the cost of death threats and all. And so she's saying that she faces a lot by speaking about Jesus. I actually didn't know that in this Western world that Christians go through something or a lot, because I didn't as a Christian. People love me. I was accepted in my society, in my community, highly regarded. Great life, family. I didn't have any problems in that area as a believer. I've experienced a million times more on this side. I get death threats. I have to look over my shoulder because I don't believe, and people want to attack me for it. They feel like they're doing their religion or their God a favor. And this is from all different types of religion. And so even the social world here, they'd like for you to believe in Christianity. I know this because I was blackballed in my life since I left Christianity. I made a video, it went viral, and it changed my life. And a lot of humans without the position to be able to hire me or fire me can't stand me. So you got to understand, a lot of supervisors that are Christian won't either. And people who understand that people wouldn't like me because I'm known worldwide for this. So they know that customers wouldn't like to deal with me. So they do it to protect their staffs, their company, even me. They do it to protect me. But blackballed is blackballed. It affected me. And I still do it. And it could cost me my life. I still do it, family. So I don't know. I hear you, but I hear China, but I don't know. I can't argue with her, but I'll just say that there are people who don't share a belief in a conceptualized God, and they are still out here on the front lines helping and healing. That's what I'll say. That's better put.
He's giving you the option through these videos. There's something bigger than this earth and what's happening down here. Moral laws are spiritual.
I do not deny that there is something greater, and that's what piques my curiosity, to be able to find out if or what that is, okay? Moral laws are spiritual. Moral laws are 100% man-made. The concept, the word, all the details therein are man-made. The reason I know this is no spirit has ever taught us about morals. We've learned this from man. All these concepts, it's man-made. All right, family, so.
It's not something that evolution caused. Because if we rewind and we did this all over again, we could very well evolve into a whole new set of morals and values. Killing your neighbor might be totally acceptable if we rewind humankind and just do this all over again. Moral laws are a reflection of God's character. I know y'all hear people say a lot, oh, God is good. I say it a lot, God is good, God is good. But it's really the other way around. Good is God. We wouldn't have good without God. And thank God we do have him. Thank God we have you, Lord.
All right, family, right there, I actually agree. Good is God. So if you look at good and you take away an O, you have God. Okay? If you take evil and you add a D, that is devil. So God, or good, is you at your best. Devil or evil is you at your worst. Devil comes from the word double, meaning your flesh side. Okay, so God is your highest person, the person you want to be. Okay, the perfect person that we striving to be, the good in us. Okay, and the evil in us is when we pursue the devil, the flesh, the double, right? And this is conceptually understood in other practices. Okay, so I actually thank God, or thank good that God is good. It's good as God, because it's good that we have these concepts. I just think it's important that we understand how important it is that we search for truth, and understand that concepts and symbolism can help us to gain clarity, help us to think, and help us to evolve. But it's very important that we always try to keep a level mind, family, and bring about balance. Know what's true, know what's not, and be willing to do the work, necessary work, to find out what's true and what is not. And continuously ask yourself, do you need this thing to be true, and why? Why, if you're a Christian, why do you need morals to come from God? Why do you need morals to be objective? Especially when our society, it's clearly subjective in our society. We can't even agree on God, let alone the morals that we're saying, or that she's suggesting rather, because all Christians don't say this, that the morals are written on the inside of us, but we can't even agree on God. You understand? So it seems that we're trying to figure it out, But ask yourself, what reason do I need there to be a God to have given me a hard set of morals? Why do I need that to be true? And can I demonstrate it, and can I prove it? As a Christian, can I prove this? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, carry on, China.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'll be back soon with another lollipop episode.